Sherlock Holmes, a very famous detective, had a surprising thought about his brain. He once told his friend, Dr. Watson, that his mind was like a small, empty attic. Holmes believed you should only put useful things in your brain attic. A smart person carefully chooses what knowledge to keep, like tools for their work, and keeps them in good order. A foolish person fills their attic with all kinds of junk. Then useful information gets lost. Holmes even said he did not know that the Earth goes around the sun. He explained he chose to forget such facts on purpose. He did this to make more room in his brain for important details he needed to solve his difficult cases. This idea is very different from what most people believe about memory. Our society usually thinks that remembering everything is great. We praise people who can recall many facts. Forgetting, on the other hand, is usually seen as a bad thing. We think it is a sign of failure. We try very hard to save every moment of our lives with photos and notes. But what if Holmes's idea was right? What if our desire to remember everything has made us miss a bigger truth? What if forgetting is not the opposite of memory, but actually its most important helper? This book will explore this big question. Forgetting is not a mistake our brain makes. Instead, it is an active and important skill. Our brain does not just lose information by accident. It actively works to throw away details it does not need. This is one of the most complex things our mind does. Imagine how much information your brain gets every single day. Millions of things you see, hear, and think. If you remembered everything, every car number, every conversation, your mind would be too full. It would be like a cluttered room. Your brain would be slow and unable to focus. Forgetting is how your brain keeps itself organized and works best. It is like an editor for your life story. In the chapters that follow, we will understand forgetting better. We will look at how ancient people thought about memory and letting go. Then we will explore the first scientific studies and modern brain science. You will see why forgetting is a key skill. It helps us learn, heal, and grow. This book will challenge what you think you know about your memory. 2. Old ideas about memory. For many years, people thought about memory in simple ways. They believed that remembering everything was good, and forgetting was always bad. This idea started a very long time ago. In ancient Greece, memory was seen as something special, even divine. The Greeks had a goddess for memory called Mnemosyne. They believed she was the mother of all arts and sciences. For them, memory was key to human culture and wisdom. If you forgot things, it was like a kind of spiritual death, taking you back to a time before society was well ordered. A famous Greek thinker, Plato, lived in the 4th century before the Common Era. He shared an important idea about how the mind works. He said that the mind was like a wax tablet. Memories were pressed onto this wax, just like a seal leaves a mark. How well you remembered depended on the wax. If it was too soft, memories could become unclear. If it was too hard, new memories might not form well. In Plato's view, forgetting simply happened when these marks on the wax faded over time, like a tablet left in the sun. It was a natural but sad process. Later, Aristotle, who was Plato's student, had a new thought. He suggested that memories were not just separate marks. Instead, they were connected to each other. He said memories could be linked by how similar they were, or if they happened close together in time or place. This was an important step. It meant that maybe forgetting was not just a fading mark, but a breaking of these connections between memories. The Romans, known for being practical, used these ideas to create tools for memory. They developed special ways to remember things, called the art of memory. Roman speakers, like Cicero and Quintilian, taught students to build imaginary places in their minds, called memory palaces. They would imagine rooms full of strange images. Each image would help them remember parts of a long speech. These memory palaces were strong tools against forgetting. Throughout history, people looked at forgetting as a failure. It was not just a problem for one person, but a danger for all society. The Romans believed that if a group of people forgot its past, it would make the same mistakes again. They built statues and wrote stories to help everyone remember, trying to fight against the natural way humans forget. So, for a very long time, forgetting was seen as something that hurt people and societies. It was not until much later that people started to think about forgetting in a different way. 3. How we study forgetting. Chapter 3 looks at how people first started to study memory and forgetting in a scientific way. Before this, most ideas came from old stories or philosophical thinking. One of the first people to study memory scientifically was Hermann Ebbinghaus, a German researcher in the late 1800s. He wanted to understand memory with careful tests, not just ideas. Ebbinghaus knew that everyday memories, like faces or stories, were too complex. They already had many old connections. So he created something new: nonsense syllables. These were three-letter sounds without any meaning, like wax or cas, so they were truly new to the brain. Ebbinghaus then did a special experiment, mostly on himself. He worked alone, memorizing long lists of these nonsense syllables. After different amounts of time, he tested how many he could recall. He did this many, many times, carefully writing down every result. From his work, he found a very important idea: the forgetting curve. This curve showed that we forget new information very quickly. For example, he found he forgot half of what he learned in just 1 hour. After 1 day, he forgot almost 70%. The curve also showed that most forgetting happens right after we learn something. Then the rate of forgetting slows down. This discovery was important because it proved that forgetting follows clear, predictable rules. It is not just a random thing that happens. Around the same time, a doctor named Sigmund Freud in Vienna had a different idea about forgetting. He worked with people who had mental difficulties. Freud thought that sometimes people forget bad or painful memories on purpose, even if they are not aware they are doing it. He called this repression or motivated forgetting. For Freud, the mind pushed away these hard memories from consciousness to protect itself from sadness or fear. This was different from Ebbinghaus's idea of natural fading. Freud's ideas showed that forgetting could be an active, hidden process of the mind, tied to our inner feelings and needs. Later, in the 1950s, a man named Henry Mollison had an important brain surgery. He had very bad seizures, and doctors removed a part of his brain, called the hippocampus, to help him. After the surgery, his seizures got better. But then a very strange and sad thing happened. Henry could no longer make any new long-term memories. He could remember things from before his surgery, like his childhood. He could also keep information in his mind for a few minutes. But if you met him, then left the room and came back a short time later, he would not remember you. He would think he was meeting you for the first time. Scientists called him Patient HM to keep his real name private for many years while they studied his case. Patient HM's unique situation taught scientists a great deal. His tragedy showed that a specific part of the brain, the hippocampus, is vital for making new memories and also for the process of forgetting. Because Henry could not make new memories, his brain also struggled to decide what information was important to keep and what to let go. His case showed clearly that forgetting is not just a passive failure of memory. Instead, it is an active and necessary brain process. Without the ability to selectively forget irrelevant details while holding on to important ones, the brain cannot work well. It would be overloaded, unable to sort and use new information. His case helped prove that active forgetting is a key part of how the brain manages all the information it receives every day. 4. How the brain forgets. Forget the idea that your brain is like a quiet library with old books or a computer that simply saves everything. Instead, think of your brain as a busy city that never sleeps. Every day, millions of new experiences and details enter this city. The city's rules, which are like your brain's networks, must decide which new information stays, which visits for a short time, and which should not come in at all. Forgetting is how your brain actively manages this city. It is an important way of organizing information, not a mistake. What we call a memory is not one single thing. It is a special pattern of connections between your brain cells. When you remember something, like your first day at school, you are not playing a recording. You are rebuilding that experience by activating the same brain cell connections that were used during the original event. These connections are spread throughout different parts of your brain. For example, what you saw might be in one area and how you felt in another. A memory forms when these brain cells work together, creating bonds that can grow stronger or weaker. When we forget, these many connections are weakened or broken. One main way your brain forgets is called passive decay. This is like old things slowly fading. The connections between brain cells need energy to stay strong. If you do not use these connections often, they gradually weaken and can disappear. New memories are especially easy to forget because their paths in the brain are not strong yet. Think of paths in a forest. If many people walk on a path, it stays clear. But if no one walks on it, plants grow over it and the path fades away. This natural fading follows certain rules, as a scientist named Ebbinghaus discovered. Passive decay is made more complex by interference. This happens when similar memories compete with each other. For example, if you try to remember where you parked your car today, you are not just fighting against the memory fading. You are also trying to remember this new spot while many other memories of where you parked before are in your head. There are memories from yesterday, last week, and hundreds of other similar parking experiences. These similar memories can make it hard to find the exact detail you need. This is why it is often easier to remember a special event, like a wedding meal, than what you had for breakfast last Tuesday. The special memory has fewer similar memories to compete with, so it stands out more clearly. 5. Forgetting while we sleep. The brain does not just forget things by accident. It actively chooses to delete memories. This important work happens a lot when we sleep. Think about your brain during the day. It takes in millions of new things, sounds, sights, talks, and many different thoughts. By the time evening comes, your neural networks, which are like tiny paths in your brain, are full of many new connections. Most of these new connections are for small, unimportant details that you will not need again. When you go to sleep, especially during the deep phases of sleep, your brain starts a special job. It works like a cleaning crew, tidying up all the information it gathered during the day. This process is called synaptic renormalization. It means your sleeping brain carefully reviews all the day's connections. It decides which ones are important enough to keep strong and which ones should be weakened or even removed entirely. It is like editing a long movie of your day, cutting out the boring parts and keeping the main story. This process is very selective. During sleep, your brain will make important memories stronger. These are memories that were strong with feelings, or that happened many times, or that you thought about carefully. At the same time, the brain actively weakens or deletes the vast majority of less important connections from the day. This is why you often forget most of your dreams. Your brain sees them as random information and quickly marks them for deletion. This also helps explain why sometimes you remember things better after sleeping on it. Sleep has removed confusing details, making the important memory clearer and easier to find. But there is another powerful way the brain actively forgets, called motivated forgetting. This is not something that just happens. It is an active decision your brain's control center makes. Your prefrontal cortex, which is like the brain's boss, can actively stop you from bringing certain unwanted memories to your mind. Imagine you have a bad or embarrassing memory that makes you feel sad or stressed. Your prefrontal cortex can work to stop your hippocampus, a part of the brain that helps you recall memories, from showing it to you. Scientists can even see this happening in brain scans. When people are asked not to think about a specific memory, the prefrontal cortex becomes very active, while the hippocampus shows less activity. If you keep trying not to think about a memory, the neural paths for that memory can become weaker over time. Eventually, it might be truly difficult to access that memory, even if you try. This type of motivated forgetting helps us in many ways. It allows us to move past embarrassing experiences, to forgive past hurts, and to focus on our current goals without being constantly bothered by old, unhelpful memories. This ability to let go is a crucial skill, helping us to maintain emotional health and move forward in life. 6. The problem of too much memory. In the year 2000, a woman named Jill Price made an important phone call. She spoke to Dr. James McGaugh, a scientist who studied memory at a university in California. Jill told him something amazing. She could remember almost every single day of her life since she was 14 years old. Dr. McGaugh was surprised. He had studied memory for many years, but he had never met anyone like Jill. He started to test her memory. He asked her about different dates, and Jill could tell him the day of the week, what she did, and even how she felt. For example, if asked about April 21, 1991, she would quickly say, "That was Easter Sunday, and I remember being disappointed because my dress was too big." She also remembered August 16, 1977, as the Tuesday Elvis died. She knew exactly where she was when she heard the news. Scientists later called her condition highly superior autobiographical memory, or HSAM. It means she has a very strong and detailed memory of her own life. Many people might think that having such a perfect memory would be a wonderful gift. They might imagine it would make life easier and more interesting. However, for Jill, her special memory was not a gift at all. It was a very heavy burden. In her own words, she said her memory was non-stop, uncontrollable, and totally exhausting. Her mind was always full of memories. Most of these memories were small and not important to her life now. She could not stop the flow of these thoughts, just like she could not stop breathing. Jill found it very hard to be happy. She remembered every embarrassing moment from her past. She remembered every fight she had with friends or family. Every time she felt sad or disappointed, those feelings would come back to her very clearly. Most people have a kind of natural forgetting that helps bad memories fade over time. This helps them move on. But for Jill, she felt the sadness and pain again as strongly as the first time it happened. She explained, "When I think of a sad time, it's like it just happened." This constant reliving of painful events made it difficult for her to find peace or joy. Other people with HSAM have also shown problems with sadness and worry. What was even more surprising was that this perfect memory did not make her better at life in other ways. For example, remembering every single detail of her past did not help her make better decisions in the present. She did not seem to learn more from her past mistakes than other people. Her amazing memory also did not help her predict what might happen in the future. It showed that having many memories does not always mean having more wisdom or being able to plan better. Jill's experience teaches us a very important lesson. Forgetting is not a failure of our brain. Instead, it is a very useful and necessary skill. The ability to forget less important details or painful moments helps our minds stay healthy. It allows us to move forward from the past, to try new things without being scared by old failures, and to keep hope for the future. Without the ability to forget, we could become prisoners of our own past experiences, unable to grow or change. It shows that sometimes losing some memories helps us live better lives. 7. When we cannot forget. When we experience something very bad, our brain usually helps us forget the small, less important parts. It helps us put the hard memories into the past so they do not hurt us every day. But for some people, this natural forgetting does not happen. This is often the case with post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. It is like the brain cannot put a very bad memory away. It remains active and strong. When a person goes through a shocking or scary event, their body and brain are flooded with stress chemicals. These chemicals can interfere with the brain's normal way of making memories. Instead of being processed and stored as a past event, the traumatic memory remains stuck. It does not fade or lose its power over time, unlike typical memories. Fragments of the experience, a sound, a specific smell, a visual detail, stay separate and vivid. They do not fully integrate into the person's wider life story. For people with PTSD, these unforgotten memories can come back suddenly and strongly. They are called intrusive memories. It feels like the bad event is happening again, right now, in the present moment. A loud noise might make a soldier instantly feel like they are back in a dangerous war zone. A certain smell might bring back the overwhelming fear of a past accident. One person, Maria, a veteran, shared that her worst day felt like it was playing again and again in her head. She could see every detail, smell the smoke, and feel the intense heat. Even when she was safe at home, her brain thought she was still in danger, unable to let go of the past. This constant feeling of being in danger and the return of these vivid memories stop the brain from using its usual mechanisms for forgetting. Instead of becoming a faded memory, the traumatic experience stays isolated, intense, and intrusive. This prevents the person from moving forward and finding peace. Treatment for PTSD often focuses on helping the brain re-engage its natural forgetting processes. Therapies such as eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, or cognitive processing therapy, guide individuals to slowly reprocess traumatic memories in a safe and controlled environment. This allows the normal consolidation process to finally occur. The brain learns to update these stuck memories. The goal is not to make someone forget what happened completely. That would often be impossible or even unhelpful. Instead, the aim is to help the memory lose its immediate, visceral quality. It helps the memory become integrated into the person's larger life story as something that happened in the past rather than something that feels current. This way, the person can heal and regain control over their life, moving past the constant fear that held them back. 8. Why forgetting is good. Forgetting is truly important for our minds to work well and for us to live happy lives. Think of our brain as a smart librarian. This librarian chooses which information is most useful and easy to find. If we remembered every small detail, like every license plate or background sound, our minds would be too full. Forgetting helps us keep only what is important, making our thinking efficient and clear. This ability to forget helps us learn general rules from specific events. For example, if a child touches a hot stove, they learn that hot things are dangerous. They don't need to recall every tiny detail of the pain. Forgetting specific details while remembering the important lesson is very helpful. It turns many single experiences into useful, broad knowledge. Like a master chess player, we forget individual moves but remember winning strategies. Raw experience turns into wisdom. Forgetting is also key for our feelings and healthy relationships. Imagine remembering every small argument or sad moment with perfect clarity. It would be hard to forgive and move on. Our brains slowly let go of the strong, painful feelings connected to some bad memories. This helps us forgive others, build stronger bonds, and stay hopeful. It lets us change and grow, leaving past hurts behind so they don't weigh us down forever. Today, we face a new challenge with digital tools that remember everything. Social media posts, photos, and messages can stay online forever. This digital permanence makes it hard for us to forget past mistakes or old versions of ourselves. Some countries even have a right to be forgotten law. This shows we are starting to understand how important it is for people to control what is remembered about them online. If everything is remembered, how can we truly move forward? In the end, our memories are not perfect, and that is a good thing. They change and become softer over time. A sad memory might still be there, but its sharp pain can fade, allowing us to heal. This transformation is not a failure of memory. It is a profound gift. It allows us to move forward and adapt. Our memories are not like old photos that never change. They are living parts of us that grow with us, helping us to learn and become new people over time. What past event are you most grateful that your mind has helped you naturally forget or soften, making room for new experiences and growth?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.